I always thought it would be cool if you could go back and listen to the day-to-day of today's highest achievers as it happened, as opposed to 30 years later after they've made it. I believe there's a giant disconnect between ground zero and the top floor because we only see the top floor and the top floor only talks about the top. How valuable would that be? And so it goes without saying, but I believe I'll make it there. And this is a documented journey through each level. My name is Bryson Sessions, and you are listening to the Bed Podcast.
I haven't recorded a show in my car while driving in a minute, so here we go. It's 2:86, July 31st, 2024. It's 5:41 p.m. And so here's the idea for today. So I just got done visiting with my uncle and my aunt. We were talking about my podcast, actually. We were talking about something that I said in 2 days ago's show. Where I talk about how maybe the reason why I feel the way I do about completing the Live Hard program, how it's so surreal, how it's, I don't necessarily feel so pumped and excited, is because, for one, I've, developed this lifestyle of living that is exactly what I've wanted forever. And I've gotten rid of so much other things in life that it's almost like good riddance, right? But the main thing, and this is what I said in episode 284, it's toward the very end of the show, I said maybe the reason that I feel this way is because the life that I was living before this program is not a life that I miss. It's not a life to be missed. Meaning the life that I was living it wasn't good at all. It didn't serve me, nothing. So the fact that I moved away from that, it's not any other moment than relief. I think that's the best way I can explain it. So maybe the feeling that I feel is relief that I've, escaped the old life that I wouldn't miss, that I don't miss now that I'm not living it. So kind of put more thought into that when I was talking to them and just kind of played with it a little bit. And, I literally teared up at my own fucking podcast because of what I said. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that makes me ultra narcissistic to cry at what I said to myself, but that's how I feel. So it is what it is. But man, it's just the life that I was living is not a life that I miss at all. So I guess another analogy would be being in an abusive relationship. I've never been in one, so sorry for anybody who's listening who has gone through something like that, but maybe it's like that, where you're in some kind of relationship that's super horrible to be in, and as soon as you're out of that relationship, it's not joy and excitement and whatever, it's just pure relief, it's peace. At least that's what I would imagine it would be like. I'm sure you'd be excited, you'd be fucking ecstatic to be away from your abuser or someone who treats you awful. I'm sure, I don't know, so I can't comment on it, but I'm sure you would feel a lot of relief and a lot of peace knowing that life or that partner that you were once with, they're gone forever, so that's the thought that I wanted to share. So anyway, here's another thing that I wanted to talk about. So there's a lot of mindset topics that I talk about on the show. In case this is your first time listening, there's a lot of philosophy ideas that I have that I like touching on that just kind of help me think about things differently or reframe or get a different perspective on something. And it's really helpful. So I was thinking about the ice bath, and matter of fact, I'm going to throw that in here as well. So at the end of yesterday's show, I touched on the fact that I'm selling my ice bath. I'm no longer. So today, if I take an ice bath, would be day 251 in a row. But today, yesterday was my last ice bath. Not forever. I'll probably take a lot more in the future. But for this phase of life, I don't think it's serving me the way that I need it to. So I'm going to kind of put a pause on that and get rid of the ice bath. Those things are expensive. So I'm going to sell that, use that money to either put into savings or buy some shit for my place or whatever, buy some better podcast equipment, whatever. I'm not sure. Probably will do that, honestly. But I'm going to talk about that because I was kind of playing around with it more with my family. We're just talking back and forth. And I was explaining to my uncle, I was like, so the ice bath I'm selling. He's like, whoa, okay, what's going on? And I was like, well, here's the deal. So I explained to him, how it's what it is in my life at the moment. So you can go back and listen to yesterday's show and get a little bit more context on that. But the steak and potatoes of the conversation was I've been going back and forth on myself so much, so hard about if I'm quitting, if I'm being a bitch, if I'm being weak, am I giving up? What is it? Because I don't want to quit, but I was like, okay, why don't I want to quit? What's the issue for me quitting? And I think it's like, okay, well, I'm quitting, so that means I'm weak because I don't want to do the thing that I said I would do. It only takes 10 minutes per day. I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't want to do it. And the other part of me thinks, okay, maybe that's true. However, it is inconvenient because you got to go home before you can do anything else. You got to take an ice bath. It takes 5 minutes. You get out, you dry off, and you can go to the gym. Maybe the gym workout's not the greatest because you're all cold and stiff. You're still warming up. I don't know the science behind that. Apparently, there's some studies that show it's good for building muscle, but then you can't take it after work or after a workout. If you're trying to build strength and size, if you're trying to recover, then absolutely. But I'm trying to build size and strength. That's why I go to the gym. Then if I can't do it then you're supposed to wait like 4 to 5 hours after your workout to do it. And if I do that, that's right as I'm supposed to be in bed. So if I do it then, that's right before bed. You're not supposed to take it before bed. It fucks with your sleep. It fucks with your circadian rhythm as far as the body temperature, your core body temperature goes. So it's like, okay, well, I have to do it in the morning then. And honestly, don't want to. Straight up, do not want to take it in the morning. And I was like, okay, then I'm weak. I'm just a bitch because that's one time I can do it and still have everything else, but I don't want it. So I'm just pussying out on something that I know I can do that's just too hard for me. That's what it is. And then I thought, how about you don't have to be a tough ass. You can just simply not want or do want to do things. And it begins and ends there. And then I was toying around with the idea of, okay, if let's say I drink a gallon of water every single day for 1,000 days. That's pretty impressive. 1,000 days straight of anything is it's very consistent. It's funny because people do 1,000 days straight of not going to the gym, of eating like shit, of binging Netflix, and they don't think anything of it. It's but if you go 1,000 days straight of exercising, you're obsessed, you're overtraining. It's so funny, right? But 1,000 days straight of drinking a gallon of water. That person can say they went 1,000 days straight, but what the actual reality is they drink a gallon of water 1,000 days out of 1,000 days. And that's cool. And there's probably a lot of results and great health benefits from that. But then you have another guy. Let's say that he drank a gallon of water 903 times in 1,000 days. So that's, 90.3% or 90%, right? So 90% of the time that he drank a gallon of water. So that means his max streak, and let's just average it out, his max streak was like 100 days. So this guy's got 1,000 days in a row of drinking a gallon. This guy, he could only get 100. Who's better? And I think the true answer is they're both incredible because they both drink a gallon of water higher than 90% of the time. And 90% of anything is incredible. And so did the other guy, did he not get the greatest results or lose out on more benefits or whatever, or results from only drinking a gallon of water about 900 times as opposed to 1,000? Maybe they weren't as great. But for example, and I think a more realistic example for somebody who's really trying to do it would be someone who's done it 980 times, right? So they only missed 20 days. But in 1,000 days total, that's almost 3 years. So in 3 years, they missed 20 days, which is about just under 7 days a year. That's a week per year. If you want to average it out, that's not even a day a month. That's pretty close to a day every other month. So when you look at it from a microscopic level of somebody drinking 59 gallons of water in 2 months versus somebody who drinks 60 gallons of water in 2 months because it's 60 days, it's identical. It's the same shit. And I'm not saying they didn't drink any water at all. They might have drank 112 gallons or ounces of water, which is 16 ounces short of a gallon. So really, they just missed out on 16 ounces of water. And is 16 ounces of water on a bi-monthly basis the end of the world? I mean, you're not getting the benefits? Fuck no, it's not. 16 ounces of water every 60 days. That's like if you were doing protein and you had 200 grams of protein every day, but a couple days a year you had 193. You're still okay. The only thing that happened is you didn't cross 200, this number that is the goal for some reason all of a sudden. This number that you've made up that you have to achieve or you have to reach for the streak to go on. For me, for no other reason than to say that I did it and have the streak go on, to prove that I'm tough or whatever it is. And that's for me. So there was a lot of ego going back and forth. There was a lot of literally talking to myself, like, am I bitch? Am I weak? Is this ego? What's going on? What's going on? So I was going back and forth with myself for that for so long. And I even have a full podcast about how I feel like I'm being such a bitch. And, maybe I am. But the fact that, so I just pulled into my garage, I'm looking at my ice bath, and again, I'm looking at it, and I'm not ecstatic that this is my last day. Yesterday was my last day taking an ice bath. I'm not overly hyped or just feeling the greatest or so pumped that I did this thing. I'm grateful that I did it because I believe it to be a core component of my success in doing hard stuff and kind of building the discipline that's needed to propel me through this next chapter of life. I do think doing hard shit is the key to most things in life as far as personal development goes. And I think that now that I have quote unquote mastered this, and I don't think that's the right word. I've done it 250 days, dude. Not even close to 10,000, right? I guess that's based on your own perspective. But I don't think 250 days straight of anything makes you a master. However, as far as control and controlling my emotions and mastering my mind with this particular activity, I would say I'm extremely confident and can do this anytime, any place, anywhere, under any circumstance. I'm just confident in that. But going back to what I started the show with, I don't miss it. It taught me what it needed to teach me. It was, fun while it lasted. Of course, I have good memories. It's not like it's the end of the world, but it's something that was in my life, and I'll do it in the future. But as far as maintaining a streak that nobody cares about except for me, and that doesn't benefit me at all, having a streak, I kind of just think it's time to accept a new challenge, move on with this, and start something else. Because right now, I feel like at the flip of a switch, dude, I go up one flight of stairs and I'm gassed. This is crazy. I feel like at the flip of a switch, I can turn on the discipline gene. I can abstain from anything I need to. I can do whatever I need to do. And I've cultivated that skill that I'm able to do that. I can flip a switch, turn it on. I didn't have to, but I took social media out of my life for 30 days. I removed all caffeine, removed all pre-workout, removed all energy drinks. I removed all fluids that weren't water. I didn't have to do any of that. None of that was part of the program. The caffeine was, but nothing else was part of the program. I didn't have to do any of that. I didn't have to limit myself to grocery store food and meal preps. I could have gone to restaurants and gotten salads and grilled chicken and had coffee with no creamer. I could have done that stuff and given myself more leeway. But my goal, and you can probably go listen to episode 250 something, that's before day one of phase 3. I was talking about how I'm trying to make it as hard as I can on myself. And I did that to really squeeze out every last drop of juice from the lemon. It's funny because I remember talking about this for phase 1. But I really did. I tried to squeeze every last drop that I could. And I feel good that I did that. Because again, there was times where I was laying on my floor trying to read my book. And I had to set alarms on my phone because I was fearful that I would fall asleep and I wouldn't complete it. So not gonna lie, dude, there's like shadows up in my hallway. What the fuck is going on? Spooky, dude. Anyway, so what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was trying to make it as hard as I could on myself, and I did, and I succeeded at that. And I'm just relieved, dude. I'm just at peace. I have clear conscience, peace of mind, knowing that I did the hard shit, graduated, quote unquote, and now it's time for a different chapter in life, a new challenge. So I have my ice bath posted on KSL, which in Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, it's like a Facebook marketplace. It's like a Craigslist or an eBay, but it's local. And I got it on Facebook Marketplace as well. And I'll read you what the guy sent me. So he's looking to buy one, it looks like. He asked me, why am I selling it? So, dude, first of all, read the goddamn description. All the questions can be answered there. Just read, right? So,
Yeah. So he says, let me pull it up. He says, any issues with it? I said, not a single one. I've used it over 300 times. He asked me what size. He says, are you just bored with it? Why are you selling it? And honestly, it's such a weird thing, but I was like, I'm just moving on to a different challenge. I've done this 250 days in a row. And then he's like, how firm are you on price? Dude, this is what I don't get. He says, how firm are you on price? Because I can get a brand new for just $100 more. Why are you even talking to me, dude? Get the new one. $100 more? Get the new one. It's not even 20% more in price. Go get the new one, bro. Why are you trying to haggle with me? But just don't buy it then. Fuck. So anyway, got out posted. I'm getting rid of it. So, but yeah, so it's a new challenge. That's what I was saying. So with chapter 2, right? Don't even know what this is. It's just a concept right now. I would like to change things up for it. But chapter 2, chapter 1 focused on building my discipline, my fortitude, the mental aspect of me, because it's been absent my whole life. I haven't had the courage or courage as well, but I haven't had the discipline to stick to things, flawlessly for longer than maybe 3 or 4 days. And so I was able to do 75 days, 24 days failed, and then 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. Didn't fail. Meaning I have proof that I can go at least 30 days and or 75 days straight on a thing that I'm working on and not fuck up. So now that I have that proof, I have the confidence to do something else in life because I have proof that I can, in fact, stick to shit. So that's critical. End of story, period. But it's absolutely critical that you do things like that build that confidence in you or build some kind of belief in yourself that you can, in fact, do the things that are difficult for you to do, So there's that whole idea. Now with chapter 2, I'm not going to track an ice bath anymore. It's not going to be on my power list. I'm still going to track my food, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I only got 224 grams of protein today. I failed the streak. I better go eat a cheese stick. If I get 224 and I lose my streak because I didn't get 225, that's 1 gram of protein. I'm not going to lose my shit over 1 gram of protein. Which leads to the whole point of this show, this episode, which is, if I have 1,000 gallons of water in 1,000 days versus, 998 gallons of water in 1,000 days, but, maybe 20 of those days I didn't get a gallon. I was like slightly short. It doesn't fucking matter. The only thing it matters for is having a streak for, proof that you did it in so many days in a row. But as Tony Robbins says, when you're quitting something that's bad, like you're quitting alcohol, it's like, hey, I'm 50 days sober. He's like, why are you counting though? Is it so you know how far you have to beat it next time you relapse or something like that? I could be way off. But it's to the extent of like, why are you counting? Like if you're done with it, you'll never have to count again because it'll just be forever and it'll be one time. So like if you quit now, you'll be 60 years old and it's like, yeah, I quit. Well, how many days has it been? I don't know. I've never done it since, kind of thing. So it just doesn't matter. So I guess what I'm trying to segue into that I keep backtracking at is ice bath was for chapter 1, mental discipline, all that shit was for chapter 1. Now I need to use what I learned from chapter 1, apply it to chapter 2, and maybe chapter 2 is about building something and changing other people's lives the way that mine was changed. And in doing so, making a profit that can allow me to buy back my time and quit my jobs and do this full time. So that's the goal. That's the dream. And I think chapter 2, it'll start to be a lot more interesting, a lot more valuable content will be out because the things that I'm doing are things that I've talked about doing for the last full chapter, which I guess will be about 290, 300 episodes because I'm working on chapter 2. When I say that, I'm just working on an intro. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more, just a little bit nicer and maybe put a little bit more thought into it. But again, the reason I'm able to do this consistently every day is because it's so simple to do. I opened my phone, clicked record, and began talking. That's as easy as it gets. And it's really easy to talk about things if you do things. If you don't do anything, then you can really have a hard time talking about, black, empty nothingness. Just closing your eyes, that's all you see. That's how you talk about that. So, at least it's what I think so far. But, that's what's going on. Chapter 1 was that. Excited for chapter 2. Detailed a little bit about why I'm selling the ice bath, why how I came to that decision, and how I had to really kind of set my ego aside because I'm like, dude, what am I doing this for? Is it just for a streak that nobody cares about? Is it to
be the guy in the room that's like, yeah, I've got a streak of, 1,585 ice baths, Like if I'm in a room and I've done 7,000 ice baths in a row and some other guy has a streak of 3, but he's only missed 5 days in the last 7,000 days. Him and I are pretty much the same. Like maybe he couldn't take a thing because something happened and he had to. It doesn't matter. Like we're pretty much the same because he only missed 5 days, I missed 0. But in the grand scheme of 20 years, or I guess that'd be 19 years, it don't matter. That's like having one bad workout, every month or two, which everybody has a lot more than that, versus a guy who has a perfect workout every time. Might have, an extra centimeter on his biceps over the long haul of a whole 30 years career bodybuilding. Maybe that's what it takes to win. But the point I'm trying to make is a streak is just consistency of flawlessness. But consistency doesn't have to be a streak of flawlessness. It just has to be exactly what it is, which is consistent. So, if you do something 5 days a week for the rest of your life, that's consistent. If you do something every day for the rest of your life, that's consistent. You do something once a week for the rest of your life, it's consistent. He's consistently doing the shit on Monday. Every Monday, you can count on him to do this thing. So it just depends on what the parameters are and how you set them before you start. So I think both things can be achieved at the same time. So ice bath is gone. It's still here. I still have it, but I'm actively trying to get rid of it. So things served me well, but again, I think it's just relief. I'm moving on. So ice bath was challenging my mental side of things. Now I need to challenge my social skills and talking to people and persuasion and sales and communication and confidence as far as because I'm confident personally, but I need to be confident socially and with other people. I need to be able to become some sort of leader and speak with conviction and speak clearly, speak with a purpose, speak with a mission, and achieve that mission. So that's the goal there. And I think building up my mental side of things was absolutely critical in getting me to this point, because I would not be trying to do all this. I could not if I didn't possess some sort of, discipline or resilience in my head to know that I can do these things. So, roundabout way of saying, time to move on to a harder challenge for what's necessary in my life to move me forward. Because I could take an ice bath every single day for the rest of my life, but what would I truly be getting from it? So I could be 50 years old and say I haven't missed a day in the last 30 days. To that one person, he'll forget about you after you leave. Is it worth it? I think we just get obsessed. Well, I do. I'm going to say this. I'll speak for myself here. We see people like David Goggins. He's like, I'm going to go run 100 miles tonight. I'll be right back. And the number, 100 miles. It's just unbelievable. It's a shit ton amount of mileage. That's from, driving that would take about like an hour and a half. He's running it real quick at night, And it's just a number. It's monumental. It's so cool to think that someone endured that just on a whim. He's like, I'm going to go 100 miles tonight. But, that's it. And I think maybe you'd have to reach those extreme numbers for it to start actually working. Because if I take a cold plunge every single day for, a year straight, that's pretty cool. It's a full year. A lot of people can do that. A lot of people do. But if you were to say I took an ice bath every single day from 18 years old to 75 years old, that would get clicks and views and inquiries and and people would think, holy shit, dude, he did not miss. But then because it's so unrealistic, people would say, oh no, he's lying. There's no way. He's capping, whatever people fucking say. Capping? He's Captain Crunch, bro. He's Captain Crunch. So, whatever. So, I don't know. I kind of want to end the show there. I feel like I'm rambling on now. So, that's it for today. Tomorrow, a road trip with my beautiful lady, Lexi, to Colorado for my buddy's wedding. Then we're going to go... Yeah, we're going to stay there, obviously. And then we're going to come home on Sunday. So, tomorrow's episode will be the first show ever filmed or recorded in Colorado. In Colorado, but also in a different state. So, that'll be cool. First ever tagline of the first line of the show that doesn't say Utah in it. So that's kind of cool. So we'll have the first, second, third, and fourth. Well, probably not the fourth. First, second, third in Colorado. So pretty cool. So that's the show, guys. I appreciate you listening. I got to go pack for a trip that I need to leave for in 8 hours. So am I going to make it? Yes. But am I going to be tired? Oh, absolutely. So, yep. That's the show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. See you later.
Hey, thanks for listening, and quick reminder here. So this podcast doesn't prioritize professionalism or quality at all. It's just meant to be a shoot from the hip type podcast with the intent just to get a quick message out. So some episodes might be inaudible in 30 seconds and others might be 45 minutes and super crisp sounding. So all these are being made so that by episode 7,305, which is 20 years, we can come back and see the entire playbook of how I made it to wherever I'm going. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.